it's very racist, and I just needed to get out, so I headed out west, and shortly after the '08 crash, and there were no jobs, so I ended up working on a crab boat for a couple seasons. It was the only job available, and then met my partner of eight years, the one that doesn't talk to me anymore.
Okay.
On the crab boat as well, and we started dating and ended up biking across the country. And I don't know, I kind of describe my 20s as if it was like a movie, like how would you define a movie genre? My early 20s would be adventure, romance.
Nice.
So that's kind of
that's a good way to spend your 20s. That would be. I want to hear more about the bike trip. I knew a little bit like that, but crab boats, like Deadliest Catch, that is what I think of.
Yeah, except smaller ship, and we weren't catching king crab. We were catching Dungeness.
But that is some dangerous work.
Yeah, but when you're young and stupid, you don't know better. It's.
I am only in awe. I'm gonna have to get I have a picture of myself with Jonathan Hillstrand. He was on the Deadliest Catch. I like to drop that every now and again where I can, because I am in awe of that kind of. I was a swimmer as a kid, but water, like non-water outside of a swimming pool, I have a healthy fear of it.
Oh.
I mean, I love it. I love to go to the lake. I love to do that, but it is. I mean, it's cold and it's murky and it's a power.
And the ocean is a whole nother beast. Like, being from Minnesota, we're very familiar with lakes, but it's like you go to the ocean. Oh no, that she has an energy that you don't even know anything about. We came from the ocean.
And I think, again, if you're from Minnesota, you think ocean and you think of Florida or California. But the ocean is not sunny and fun, beachy everywhere. You go up in the northern areas, where you were, and again, that can be about as cold gets.
It was very cold. But it was, I don't know, you just keep moving. It's the throwing up on the boat that I didn't really like. That was what really got to me after a while. I mean, I loved being out on the water, but if I just didn't get sick, I think I would have had a more pleasurable time.
And you never got over it.
No. So Dramamine becomes your best friend.
I can picture. I've taken the ferry from England to Ireland, and that is.
And that's a big boat.
Exactly. But it's still, you see a lot of people out the side of the deck.
Even something that big, and my boat was 36 feet.
Oh.
So you're just getting, your legs are just. I had the strongest legs.
I bet.
When I was on that boat, you're just
I bet.
Constantly trying not to sea legs. You grow sea legs.
Yeah. Well, of course. Of course, it's the etymology right there.
Yeah.
That's funny. Now, do you... I think about the rhythm and all of that, and does that ever come through in your song? Do you ever...
I think it does. I think it doesn't come through in the lyric, because I don't necessarily lean on the lyric. I like to find stories in the chords. I've always been attracted to chord progressions, and I originally wanted to be a film score composer. And,
I could see that.
And I, didn't get into the college I wanted to get into, and so I just ended up going in another direction. But I just like John Williams and James Horner and just all these incredible film score composers. I just love how they could paint a story without words, and just you could just start bawling your eyes out. It's like, how does someone do that? That is just so remarkable to me. So I think, my early 20s, I think some of that stuff that I experienced comes out in the chords and in the textures and the colors of the song, not necessarily the lyric.
Well, and I would think that's where I think having experience being on the ocean, but also coming from Brainerd, which is a totally different...
Flatlander.
Yeah.
That's what my captain called me. How's the Flatlander today? 78-year-old guy with one eye, diabetic, and he had something else going on with some balance thing inside his ear. But he's just the roughest. He's from England too. Just the roughest guy you ever met, but the sweetest at the same time. He's like, crabbing keeps me alive because I'm on my feet and I'm. Like,
oh yeah.
It's like that's what's keeping me alive, using my body, and it's just I don't know. I just love that, and I don't know. Music is kind of similar in a way. It's a very physical. Sometimes I don't know. I get physical sometimes.
It's funny that you say that because it is, but you don't. I mean, some drummers you see go.
Oh, drummers, yeah.
Oh, but it really is. It's a, it's a whole body activity.
It is. It is even for guitar players. Like if you seen Julian Lage perform, like that guy is just like vibrating in his body. He's just like, it's amazing. It's yeah.
I went to go see Run Westy Run last night, and you may or may not know from Minneapolis. And for sure they were all dancing at least as much as I was up on stage. While they're playing, it's very. It's a very. But I don't often think of that being that whole body. So there's muscle memory along with the listening and the thinking and the.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. I try to get past the thinking. I think that's how you. Really, like all my artists that I absolutely adore, I don't think they're even thinking anymore. I think it's just they're feeling it and letting it come through in the way that they're choosing to express it. Like when you know something so well, you don't have to think about it anymore. It's like I think 40% of our behavior is habit. Habits.
Believe that. Yeah.
And habits are basically the brain shutting off because you don't have to think about it because you know how to do it. Like brushing your teeth. You don't think about brushing your teeth. Right. I just read a book called The Power of Habit and it just blew my mind. So
well, you think about the windshield time, when you're driving and you can get some of your best thinking done because
I know, and you're doing the gas, you're doing the wheel, and you're watching people, but yet at the same time, like you get these ideas that come to you and these songs and even melodies, and I know humans are crazy.
I know we're magic. We're magic. Skarlett, you're holding an instrument there. Would you mind playing a song?
Sure. This is a 7-string that I picked up from my guitar instructor when I took a couple of years of lessons when I lived in Ashland, Oregon. And he played the 7-string. Talked me into getting a 7-string.
Nice.
So this is called Close to You, Braver These Days. I spoke a little secret as you stepped out of the room. I leaned a little closer after all the springs in bloom. Thought away what I waited to say. I'm feeling a little braver these days. You came into my life, placed your prints all over me. Called us to become like one. That night gave me a song. I got hooked by your smile, pulled me from a mile. I'm feeling a little braver these days. I'm feeling braver these days when I'm close to you, when I'm close to you. My heart hurries to love, steady moves leading this time. Was feeling for a beat where our steps would fall aligned. I got hooked by your style, pulled me from a mile.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Lovely. If I'm remembering, this is an award-winning song?
Yeah.
I love the story.
It was one of the winners. It was second place, but it was one of the winners that night. Yeah, that Dylan Fest Songwriter Contest up in Duluth. God, Duluth is just, I love it up there.
Oh,
they're just
gorgeous.
Like, yeah, just the music scene too. It's amazing. So they do this week-long festival of Bob Dylan music, and all the artists, all the venues are playing Bob Dylan music, and at the end of the week they have the little song contest at the Sacred Heart Music Center. And, I got lucky. One of the winners.
No, there's no luck about it. But I think you told me the story via email that it was maybe a last minute decision to do the song.
It was, yeah. I canceled the show because I wanted to. I'm like, maybe I should just do this contest. So I canceled the show so I could do the contest. And, started some other song called "The Untold Story of Rosetto," which, oh my God, that's another conversation entirely. We don't have enough time. And just was not feeling it, so I ended up starting this one like a week before the contest. And I went up there with paper. I didn't know it as well as I would have liked to, but yeah. So yeah.
I love the gumption of doing it. I mean, I think that it seems like the sort of thing that make your heart beat a little faster.
Yeah, it did.
And I always think if you're not doing to choose to do that, I mean, it's a scary thing. But I think sometimes if we don't do things that scare us,
totally,
we're doing it wrong.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
So I just think, and so to come in to get to win something at all, I think is amazing.
Yeah, it was. I was really fortunate and glad to have done that and seen the other artists perform too, and just Shane got up there and played his song. It's just good to see other really good writers too. Folks that inspire you.
It's funny because I'm thinking and I'm not a particularly competitive person, but there is part of me that says, so when you're watching the other people, are you thinking, oh, I hope they screw it up? Or are you just excited to meet them? Or is it, there's...
No, I mean, I go into my brain, I think. I'm just like, oh, they could have had that measure 4 more beats.
Oh.
And like, I would have went to that chord. Like, I just like, I try to like, how could I tweak it? And like, I don't know if that's a good thing, but that's like, that's where my mind is. I'm just like, I'm always trying to write a great song, and it is so hard to do.
Yeah.
It really is. I've been listening to Paul McCartney lately, and I'm just blown away. What the hell was he thinking? He's brilliant.
Yeah.
And it's, how do these, but that's from that generation too. I've been listening a lot to the 70s lately, and there's just so much imagination in that music. It's so different sounding. Like, so many bands sound so drastically different from each other. So, anyways, I don't know if I'm the right person to have at a song contest, because I'll probably be like,
What's funny is my brother's a trained chef, and it's like watching Chopped with him. Cooking is pure spectator for me. I'm like, that looks great. I would eat that. But he's like, oh, darn it, I don't know why they do it.
Right, I know.
Too soon to take it out.
It's the craft. Like, that's what you do, and it's like, I don't know. I always want to make things better. I want to blow people's minds. That's what I want to do with my music. I just want to blow people's minds, but how do I get there? How do I do that? So I listen, like Madison Cunningham. Do you know her?
No, I don't think I did. The name?
She's California.
Okay.
Oh, she's probably one of my favorite songwriters in this nation right now. Just like what she writes is just like, wow. I'm so impressed. So it's like, I'm not even close to that, but it's like,
oh, you're very good.
That's how I'm like, how do I get to that level? How do I, Paul McCartney, how do I get to Paul McCartney? Like, so I really listened to like the phrasing and just, anyways, that was a very long-winded answer to your...
We got a lot of time. No, that's good. I think that's very interesting, because it is, Because how do you? I mean, you're listening to it. Do you read about it? Do you try different genre? What are you trying with that?
I do kind of read a little bit about it, but I think I'd rather just listen to it and then, find the meter. And like a lot of the times when I listen to music, I close my eyes and I can see where the meter is and I can see the flow of the melody and the bass line. And those images kind of help me remember how to write songs. If that makes sense.
It does. It makes me ask if you do visual art too as well.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do visual art.
And are those interconnected at all?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. And I don't know. Yeah, I think so. I'm really dyslexic too. So like the reading part and the writing part just didn't. So when I actually try to put lyrics together, they're on giant sheets of construction paper.
Okay.
You know how you'd like graph out a property or something? It's on like big sheets of paper, and it's in a very like blue pen with big words because it's visual.
Yeah.
It's like I have to, the things that are this small is just. It's too small. I'm just like, So yeah, it's very visual in that sense. I don't know. I'm still also trying to figure that out about myself as well. So.
Well, and again, the way you've kind of brought a physicality into the music, to bring in that visual of reading, and as we were talking about before, I don't think of the visual aspects of reading. I mean, I read for work. I read all the time. I read, but to think, and I write all the time. I mean, I don't write songs, but I have to write all the time. It's a different instrument for me.
Mm-hmm.
But so it's super interesting for me to think of you actually so much more visually being more cognizant of the visual aspect of it.
Yeah.
Whereas I always think of kids before you can read it, and you look at a sign and you're like, oh, I wonder what that is, And now we see things and we read them as we walk by all the time, and
Right.
Not that we've lost the wonder of it or anything, but I wonder.
That's a really good point. I wonder if that like part of my brain didn't get developed as well, because I did struggle with reading. I can read, but I really they didn't like that. Like they pulled me out of a classroom in second grade, and they we need to get you to catch up, and it wasn't fun. But
no,
yeah,
no, and this is where you hope that it's better for kids now. That you can catch things sooner, and because
I don't think they knew what dyslexia was when I was in grade school. Like that's kind of we're finding all these things out.
Yeah, it is. Well, it is, and then on one hand, you got to learn to read. I mean, that would be it'd be a disservice to let somebody go out without being able to read. But there are obviously adaptive. You just learn to do it differently.
Right. More slowly.
Yeah.
But still there. Yeah. I'm just so impressed by people that can read fast. It's like, God, what a neat. I don't know. I just think that's so neat. I just watched a movie where, what's it? Jude Law.
Oh,
the lead character in Tom Wolfe. It was about like a Tom Wolfe.
Okay.
The writer.
Yep. Yeah.
Something, but the lead character in the film, his job was to read through these books all day long, and to do that, like you develop a skill to just like, wow, like that's amazing.
It's
to put those symbols together so quickly with your eyes. That's amazing.
I think that what's so cool is that I read very fast, very quickly.
You're a fast reader too.
I am a fast. I mean, I don't want to be all braggy or anything, but I published a bibliography of dissertations on service learning, which means I didn't have to read every dissertation, but I had to scan through the abstract and thumb through the books and everything. And there is an art. I was a librarian, but I can but I went through, a couple hundred of them.
That's a strength.
It's a strength.
The mind just has that strength.
And I think that you have sometimes for something like that you have to be reading for a purpose. Mm-hmm. You can't ask me about any of these dissertations 20 years later. I know. I might remember bits and pieces, some themes that came up. So I always have a little marvel at people who read slower because I think you probably retain longer, if not. I can pass the test. I can pass the test.
Yeah.
With things that I really enjoy reading, probably something different. And when I say pass the test, I can write the article you need me to write. I can do the research report you need me to do. It's, whatever that test is. But ask me about it 3 years later, and I can be looking at my own writing and say, oh, well, sometimes my vocabulary is better than my radio vocabulary. I wouldn't necessarily recognize it. So it's very, interesting.
Yeah.
Just the different ways.
It is. Our strengths. And not to say that you can't develop that, because your mind is a muscle, and what we do with our muscles is we train them to do things. That's what playing an instrument is.
Yeah.
You just train that muscle to do that, and the mind is the same way. So
it's fun. It's
awesome.
It's fun to meet somebody and to talk to somebody who with different skills and talents and ways and seeing things, because it does make you think, all right, I'm going to try that. I'm going to try that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Try to do that. I'm going to think about that a little differently tomorrow.
Yeah.
Cool. How would you feel about playing another song?
Sure.
Awesome.
Why don't you just shut up and leave me alone? I don't care about your selfish tones. You think you know how this world should be, but all I hear from you is me, I mean People are hurting and hating these days. I asked my doctor friend, will this ever mend? She said we don't have a cure for stupidity. My advice is hold on to your friends and family. I don't claim to know a thing about life. It's 6:18 and I don't wanna fight. So you all go ahead and blow yourselves to the moon. I'm going out to play some romantic tune.
Skarlett Woods in studio on Mostly Minnesota Music on WMCN 91.7 FM on the beautiful McAllister College campus in St. Paul. Now that song feels like it was for someone special. Or some people who are special.
Yeah. I guess. I don't know. I've never thought about it like that before.
Just seems to have a message. A message.
Yeah, it does. It does. I don't know if it's finished. I asked a Duluthian musician to maybe write another part to it with me. Maybe make it into a duet. Because I feel like the character is kind of... The character's like, this world,
Yeah.
And then we need another character that's like, just chill out, man. Have a good time. So it's like... And Jacob, I think, would be perfect for that, so...
Okay.
I don't know. We'll see.
I like it the way it is,
I don't know
but
how to collaborate.
you know,
I'm not good at that.
I've
never done it before. I don't know how to do it.
Well, it's funny because I was wondering because it seems like that would be another step towards. But then as you're talking about, I had a vision of you at the song contest, maybe giving people helpful tips on writing.
Oh,
no, I know you wouldn't. I know,
Oh,
but you know
no.
what I mean. But that kind of, but it's, yeah, it's collaborating is hard in any field. I think.
Yeah.
And I feel like you've got to know someone well,
You
or
gotta
not
know,
at
you
all.
gotta trust them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta know them. You gotta make, you gotta like them. You gotta respect them. It's just kind of like, yeah. I was just watching this morning on the news. They were doing a special on the directors that directed Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah.
Or, is that how? Is that?
It is. I haven't seen it, but my kids love.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's just so much imagination happening in it, and you fall in love with all the characters, even the villain. I mean, it's so good. But that they met in a college, a film school, as buddies, and they got to know each other, and they made these amazing collaborations together. So it's just like it takes time too.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
it's a lot of musicians that I know just don't have the time because they're just so busy. They're doing this, they're doing that. They might already be in 4 bands.
Yeah.
It's like,
And I think post-pandemic, we get used to having time. More time than we wanted.
Yeah.
And then now that we're kind of back to a, pre-pandemic pace to a huge extent.
It's like catching up, it feels like.
Life feels so much like catching up every damn day.
I know. Why?
I know.
Why is it doing that? I don't understand.
I don't know.
And are there any things in our history where that has happened before? So we can study it and try to figure out why it feels like this.
It's so funny because this is just so emblematic of the point. Yeah, I mean, we could look back after the flu in 1912. We could look that up, and we could, when I get a minute, I'm going to do that.
Right. Someone's got to be doing these things, though. Come on.
And it's funny because I have it spending time on a college campus every week. I remember there was a time where I had more time to do that, and I would have looked at that stuff. And this is before the internet. I'd have found a book.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have written a letter to somebody. I'd have gone to that extent to do it. But now I'm like, it would be a Google search and maybe
But podcasts, I think, are what are so neat about that because you can kind of interview people who study these subjects and just kind of get a taste of what they're trying to say and what they're discovering and learning. Within 30 or an hour, versus doing your own research and reading the book and trying to understand it on your own.
Oh, that's good. And you can do that while you're walking.
I know.
You can do that outside. So that kind of comes down to. That's nice.
I love podcasts. They're fun.
Do you have a favorite?
Krista Tippett on.
Oh.
I'm into her. I mean, not like that.
No,
I'm
not here to judge.
I just love the questions that she asks everyone. She does her research. That woman just does. No rock unturned. She's
and a Minnesotan.
And
a Minnesotan. So that is. Yeah, I have not listened for her, but when she was on radio, when she was on public radio, I listened to it all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, she's a soothing voice, but she asks. She asks very pointed and solid questions, but her lovely voice has a softness to it.
I
think she gets away with a little more than, if she sounded like Oscar the Grouch, I don't think she'd get away with it as much. But it's. I have to revisit that one.
Yeah, she has some really fun people on there. I Craig Minowa, Minnesota. She had Abigail Washburn and what's her husband's name? Bela Fleck.
Oh.
And then scientists that she pulls on. It's just so fascinating to hear what scientists are discovering in their field of work and how that kind of intervenes and intertwines into our lives.
Yeah.
I just love that.
I do love to learn more about that. I get that. That is what a lot of weekend radio for me is, public radio, listening to different. It's fun. It's fun. I'm going to shift gears entirely because I want to make sure we talk a little bit about this, and sometimes I look at my watch. tell folks where you play and where to find you, and because you play in all corners of the state.
I do.
And sometimes Wisconsin and other.
Wisconsin. I'm working
exotic,
my way in
yeah.
Wisconsin this year, and Iowa, and North Dakota. Best way to find my shows is on my website, skarlettwoods.com, Skarlett with a K and 2 T's. My shows are also listed on Spotify if you want to follow that. There's a beautiful song that just got released on there a few weeks back. And I love how that one turned out. It's such a treat to be working with Kevin Bowe. Do you know Kevin Bowe?
I feel like I'm going to meet him soon. I mean, I think that I am going to meet him soon. There are reasons that I say that, but I have not met him, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah,
good.
He's a good guy. Smart ass too. I love it.
Awesome.
I love that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So
that's.
He produced that. He's producing my album too. But yeah, the shows are on the website.
Good. Yeah. Good. Would you like to play one last song?
Sure.
Before we go? All right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Speaking of collaboration, oh gosh, this is a collaboration lyrically with my previous partner. This is she had this idea that I should put these things that I've said to her in a song, and the things I've said just kind of came out the wrong way and hurtful.
Oh,
Us, you know, it just like, why would you say like, you know, just wait
okay.
for it. But she's like, oh yeah, put this in a song. Let's make a song out of these things and name it The Last Love Song. And no one will ever want to date you again once they found out you've said these things. So. I often struggle to convey what some can simply say. Those 3 little words, I love you. You say to think before I speak, tongue-tied by honesty. Clearly I'm misunderstood, but let me explain. Those beads of sweat torn arms, you pull me close and tight, and then I go and say, baby, you're a radioactive pile of heat. You're cooking me, go on your side of the bed, please. We're getting older every day. I'm quite certain I'll display a few gray hairs by 33. They say age is just a myth. That key to youth exists in our escape to a romantic spa. We're living in a dream, hot pools, massage and steam. We're feeling new again. And then I go and say, baby, this wrinkle cream helps with your zits. Oh, a 2-in-1, isn't that fun? Darling, I know it's true. We fight, I run from you. Blinded, deaf and confused, fill our space. But round and round this chorus always sings of gratitude for you. What you say? Let's take this day by day. We like to sunbathe on the beach, go for walks, grab a treat, some tasty cookies and cream. We'll spend an hour like beef jerky. I didn't write that line. Darling, I know it's true. We fight, I run from you. Blinded, deaf and confused. Fear stays. But round and round this chorus always sings of gratitude to you. What you say? Let's take this day by day.
I love that. That is the perfect note to end on. So, Skarlett, thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, joining me. It was a delight to get to hear the live music and chat.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right. We'll go back to some recorded music here. We've got The Nunnery with Proud. Oh, good. So that